If you copy one, you are copying, but if you copy 100, you are creating something original. In both cases, however, you are stealing. Originality is undetected plagiarism, as the English author William Ralph Inge said. Creativity isn't about talent or a rare gift that only a few possess. It's a skill that anyone can learn and is actually pretty simple to improve. Inspired by the book Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon, here are 6 things nobody told you about being creative. Number 1, don't be original. Many people feel they aren't creative because they can't come up with something completely original. But it's not because they lack creativity. They're just trying to create something out of nothing. On the other hand, very creative people like artists know that nothing is truly original. Every new idea is a mix of one or more old ideas. When people call something original, they usually don't know the sources behind it. As a result, artists constantly steal ideas to stay inspired. Artists see the world differently. Instead of worrying about coming up with good or bad ideas, they first decide if something is worth stealing or not. Then, they move on to the next thing. Once you have a pool of stolen ideas, you can mix and match them until it's hard to tell where the original idea came from, and people start to call it unique. A good way to illustrate this is through the trick of parallel lines taught in art school. If you draw 2 white lines side by side, there are actually 3 lines, the 2 white ones, and the negative space between them. So, 1 plus 1 equals 3. Combining influences and ideas naturally creates something new. The point is that if we free ourselves from the burden of creating original ideas and start looking at the world like artists, we can simply start stealing and combining ideas. Ironically, by doing so, we end up creating work that people perceive as original. Number 2, steal like an artist. When we see everything as potential inspiration, it's easy to steal ideas from everywhere. But the best artists collect selectively, taking things that have personal meaning to them. It could be a quote, an image, a movie line, or a comment from a conversation. If it's special to you, you can make it special for others. You've probably heard the saying that we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. The same is true for our ideas. Your creativity will only be as good as the ideas you surround yourself with. So it's important to choose wisely what to steal. There are 2 good ways to start stealing. One way is to start with the subject. For example, it can be something you want to develop, like your leadership style, or a personal project, like writing a science fiction book. Then you start stealing anything that is interesting, surprising, and inspires you. For example, author Suzanne Collins has said that her inspirations for The Hunger Games came from a variety of sources, including Greek mythology, Roman gladiatorial games, and reality television. Another way to steal is to start with a person and build a family tree. The best people to copy are your heroes, the people you admire and who inspire you. Find out how they do what they do, and try to do it yourself. This could mean adopting their lessons, habits, or routines, and reading books they recommend. Then, find out who their heroes were and learn everything you can about those people. Repeat this process as many times as you can, climbing up the tree as far as possible. Once you build your tree, it's time to start your own branch. Number 3, turn off your computer. When we think of creative work, we usually picture someone painting, writing, or a wall covered in sticky notes from a brainstorming session. We rarely imagine someone working on a computer, yet many of us try to be creative on our computers, hoping for an aha moment, not realizing that computers can actually kill our creativity. When we use computers, we often want everything to be perfect from the start, so we end up fixing and editing constantly before we have solid ideas. Our creative flow becomes choppy, but if we generate new ideas with the computer turned off and use it later to edit those well-defined ideas, our flow is smoother and faster. That's why it's important to step away from your desk and use your hands. Sketch rough ideas on paper, draw a mind map on a board with markers, or write ideas on Post-it notes during a brainstorming session. A good solution is to have 2 desks in your office, one for writing and brainstorming and another for editing on the computer. Number 4, show your work. When you start stealing ideas from others, you'll notice that most of them have one thing in common. They share their work with the world. Instead of keeping their work secret and only showing the final product, they share their process online. They post about their daily activities, ideas, and lessons learned. In other words, instead of just showing the sausage, they show how the sausage is made. This shift has a good reason. The world has changed and competition is high. It's no longer enough to be good, make things, and hope people find them. You need to be discoverable. Creativity is not a talent, it's a way of operating. The new way of operating is to focus on the process, not just the product. Think of your work as a never-ending process and share it. By doing this, you allow people to connect and contribute to your work. There are two main benefits to this approach. First, tracking your work and getting feedback helps you understand your progress and see what you did well and what you can improve. The second benefit is that instead of wasting time networking, you use your network effectively. For example, imagine losing your job but having a network of people who know your work and can help you find a new one. All you need to do is show your work. The good news is you don't need to share everything. Often, less is more. Just share a small part of what you're working on, like a helpful tip, an interesting article, or a good book you're reading. When you give things away for free, you'll get back much more in return. Number 5, don't break the chain. Creative mess can be inspiring, but to make it productive, you need boundaries. Start by defining what you want to achieve and how you plan to get there. Set clear goals for your project and decide what success means to you. It's often better to have many small, short-term goals rather than one big goal. Smaller goals make it easier to stay consistent and finish the project. For example, writing 1 page a day might not seem like much, but in a year, you'll have a 365-page novel. Similarly, one successful client pitch might be a small win, but several successful pitches can lead to a promotion. Consistency is key. To help you maintain your daily routine and track your progress, you can use Jerry Seinfeld's calendar method called Don't Break the Chain. Start by getting a physical calendar that shows the entire year. Then, break your work into small daily tasks. Each day, after completing your task, draw a big X in that day's box. Your goal is to mark a box every day. After a few days, you'll see a chain forming. As the chain grows longer, you'll feel more motivated to keep it going. Your only job is to not break the chain. Number 6, limitations mean freedom. When you're having a creativity block, sometimes the best solution is to limit yourself. In today's world, we have tons of information at our fingertips, but having too many choices can make it hard to focus. Setting limitations, such as time and materials, can boost our creativity. It stops us from trying to make everything perfect and frees us from endless edits. In creative work, having limitations actually gives us more freedom. Create things with the time, space, and materials you have at the moment. Setting the right limitations can actually help you do your best work. For example, instead of spending 2 days thinking about an idea or solution, try limiting yourself to a 2-hour brainstorming session. The Crazy Eights exercise is another good example. It's a fast sketching activity that challenges you to sketch 8 different ideas in 8 minutes, giving you 1 minute for each idea. The goal is to move past your first idea, which is often the least creative, and come up with a variety of solutions to your challenge. The point is that setting limitations can lead to better ideas you might not have thought of otherwise. In the end, creativity isn't just about what we include, it's also about what we leave out. To sum up, creative thinking is a skill we can develop with practice. By observing the world like artists and combining good ideas, we improve our ability to connect different concepts. Creativity is also about how we operate. Sharing your process, setting small goals, and embracing limitations lead to better results. Remember, creativity is not a one-time event, it's a never-ending process.